physically feel like Kobe, I'm like Jokic with the rock. You physically couldn't hold me, I don't care if you pushing 40. You can never little bro me. Euro step like Ginobili, from young OG to the OG. From nosebleeds to floor seats, circle stronger than Cuban links. My gold dance, your gold plated. You verse me, now that's a reach. We ready? Who ready?
Good evening. Took the mute off, but good evening, everyone. Welcome to the One-on-One Sports Show here on the Black Man Unfiltered Network. I'm Mr. Bennett, joined by my partner, as always, the Coach Ferg, in the building tonight, waiting for our guys from Texas to show up for another, it's certainly informative edition of the sports show. Again, we're kind of in sports purgatory right now, so we're almost sort of like a news network at this point. We're going to be going over, I guess, some of the latest developments as they come in. We're just itching for, training camp or whatever. Like I said, it's too early to get into baseball, so don't ask us any baseball-related questions. But we certainly appreciate you guys being here tonight. Just make sure you hit the like button as you come in tonight. Make sure you, also, if you consider dropping a Cash App, certainly to the Black Men Unfiltered Network, or a super chat to the Black Men Unfiltered Network. Certainly, we'd appreciate that. And always, certainly any support that you want to give us personally to our own personal Cash Apps, we certainly appreciate that as well. But certainly good to be here. But how you doing tonight, Coach?
What's up, brother Bennett, man? How you doing, man?
I am good.
It's right in the middle of the summer, man. Summer it done kicked off. We got a 4th of July holiday up, man.
That's right.
Man, it's hot, so make sure y'all hydrating out there. Don't be out here walking around unhydrated.
Absolutely, man. Good stuff. So yeah, man. So like I said, definitely looking forward to the weekend, and certainly over the summer I'll be doing some traveling. So certainly I'm still going to try to make as many shows as I can. Certainly in that process, but definitely look for it. And I got to go south too, so I'll be in Georgia, home country. That's where all my kinfolk are from. So certainly I got to get adjusted to that weather again down there. But yeah, man, certainly looking forward to that, and looking forward to chopping it up. So might as well just get into the first story as we wait for the guys certainly to show up tonight. So again, the Knicks got their coach. Okay, so again, Mike Brown. Certainly who's been a long time head coach, assistant coach. So again, when he came into the league, he was the head coach of LeBron for a long time, took him to an NBA final in 2006-2007 season. Then he was a long-time assistant coach with the Golden State Warriors for some of their title runs and whatnot. So, certainly has been around for a while. And then the last 3 years he's been with the Kings, so he's had, certainly winning records with the Kings. He was fired certainly this past season after 31 games. And so he's apparently the guy, but I'm thinking, is this kind of like saying basically you're like when you play pickup basketball 5-on-5, and he might have been like the last guy. He's like the 9th or 10th guy on the roster, and they picked him because he was like the last guy left. So I don't know, Coach, again, your thoughts certainly on the Knicks getting Mike Brown. I mean, obviously there were some major candidates that they aggressively went after who simply just didn't want the job. Again, you got a coach that took you to the Eastern Conference Finals, and so you let him go surreptitiously, and now you go to a guy who's again middle of the road. But we'll see. But what's your thoughts on the Brown hiring, and what do you think of their prospects with Brown as the coach?
I think the sky is the limit. You know what I'm saying? He does have some experience. He has been a fairly decent coach. Looked like he's always had, started out strong with his winning percentages, then sort of fell off after 23, 24. I'm surprised by him being chosen as the head coach. But looking back at New York and how their ownership operates, I can see how he was probably still standing at the end, because I believe other coaches probably turned him down. Hell, they could have called me. I would have
but yeah, they might have been better off. You never know. But,
it's going to be interesting because they can't really do a lot except as far as with players. Their team is what their team is. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how he gets more out of the players with what he got. So
Yeah.
it's good. Yeah, so I'm not salute to him, man. Hopefully he can go on. If he can go back to the Eastern Conference Finals again, that's a successful season. They do have a chance to sort of leapfrog Boston this year at least. But yeah, man, the Eastern Conference, I think both divisions gonna be tough next year with the draft picks and New York. They one of the teams that can't make a move.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, certainly they're again all those draft picks they went on to try to get Bridges in. So it's going to limit their mobility over the next few years, and I'm not quite sold on again their draft picks this year. But again, shout out to Shawnee for being on tonight. How you doing, sir?
Good, fellas. How y'all doing? I'm
Doing well,
okay.
doing well. So before we go on, what's the buzz in Houston now that we've had like a week? Because I think that story broke, I think just before our show last week about KD coming to Houston. So what's been the overall buzz down there with him coming in? Has he had his press conference yet or anything, or is he giving some love to the city so far? What's the vibe like down there?
First, I sound good.
Yeah, you were messing with it a little bit, so I think you're okay now.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm not sure if he had a press conference yet. I think he did, but it was nothing grand. I didn't go to the website to go. I really don't be listening to their press conference too much, but the vibe in the city is they definitely getting excited with the Rockets, because not just the KD move, it's also they acquired Clint Capella, who was a good run and D defender even back during the James Harden era, and
it's a good pickup for them too.
They got Dorian Finney-Smith, so he basically going to replace Dylan Brooks as far as that wing defender, so he's well capable of doing that. They are getting excited about the moves that the Rockets are making. Because I mentioned this on the previous show, which I enjoy. It's making the way the NBA is now is making the GMs do their job. Like you have to put together a team. This. I don't want to say super teams are dead. But you clearly see, if you don't win, if you establish a super team and you don't win, you pretty much will screw up your franchise for, a good amount of time afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So now teams like, man, we need, and a lot of times when they look at super team, they're looking at the Heat, and everybody's not the Heat. Because pretty much every super team that's been put together after them is failed miserably.
Right.
So I like what the Rockets are doing because they're taking a page out of, which I'll probably get on later, Indiana and OKC book. We got to build depth on our roster, and that's what they're doing right now. So the KD trade was good. You have some people who was, they didn't like the fact that the Rockets traded 23-year-old Jalen Green, and I believe I mentioned my stance on him. Jalen Green, I was listening to something, a YouTube video, and it made sense about, because remember Jalen Green, he was highly touted coming out of high school, but he didn't go to college. He went to that NBA G League Ignite, where they're supposed to be teaching you how to be a pro. And right now they disbanded that school. That team no longer exists in the G League. But he went there, and if you see him, he still plays kind of the same way. I don't think if he went to a college, he probably went to a well-established college program who would have in that 1 year taught him how to really play like the game of basketball. But he was still doing stuff that he was doing when he first came in the league in year 4 or whatnot. And the opportunity arrived to trade for KD, so they did. So the city is excited about that. Like I said, there's some straddlers out there who thought they gave up too early on Jalen Green. But I think with the signings that happened after KD, you like, oh yeah, y'all really trying to, because of some other contract moves like what Van Vliet, when they redid his contract, because he opted out, but then they re-signed him, but it's like a lower amount per se. So yeah, they building a nice squad down there. So I'm excited about that. It's not. I'm just not looking at the KD trade. It's just the KD as well as the other moves made directly after him.
Right.
Fill up some holes. Yeah, I like that.
Gotcha. And your thoughts on the Knicks new coach again, Mike Brown? Been around for a while.
Yeah.
I said better than average numbers, 60% overall winning percentage. He's been to an NBA Finals, and he was obviously part of that Golden State run with KD. So he certainly has. He certainly has been around that environment for a long time. So what's your thoughts on the trade? Enthusiastic about the acquisition. Do you think he can take the Knicks over the top, or are we basically, kind of same old here?
Maybe kind of same old, because one thing I've noticed, I'm kind of looking at his records right now. It's like he started off strong with his franchise, but then they just start to fade away. It's like he kind of, his success starts getting more limited the longer he stays with a franchise, which is the main reason why you're seeing these teams let him go. 'Cause I believe Mike Brown is a good head coach, but it's like he gets, I don't know, it's like you can see with the records how, I understand after, but when LeBron came back to Cleveland, well, he didn't have LeBron in Cleveland. Well, he did earlier, which they was winning, and then obviously then he went to the Lakers. But you see his winning, he had in 2011-12, he had over 600 winning percentage. And then
they fired him by 5 games into the next season.
Yeah. Then went back to Cleveland, didn't really do, obviously. But then one that really stands out to me, his last stint in Sacramento. Because I remember that's when Sacramento had a playoff run. That's
they
when
did.
They were doing the
they
whole light the beam.
Yeah.
That's when they were taking over for a little bit in the NBA. But you see how his winning percentage just kept going down. And that's just the thing I noticed with me personally. I thought, Michael Malone should have been. Maybe it's something behind the scene. Maybe it just wasn't the right fit for him. But I thought Malone would have been an excellent coaching candidate for this team. Even before they started trying to do this, we're going to poach a coach that's already on a different team. I said, y'all need to go get Malone. And because he's a proven winner, he's a champion, and he already proved it. If you give him like a star quality player, he can work with that. And they have one in Brunson, and they have a nice roster, at least they're starting 5. And then they can build, with their depth, because obviously he'll use his bench compared to Thibodeau. So, yeah, I mean, it's a good coach, but I'm going to be watching to see how, because did they mention what his years will be?
I wasn't able to get those details ahead of time, but I'd probably look them up before the end of the show is over. But I just don't think. I mean, certainly, he's going to basically be coaching the same team, certainly as last year. Will the players listen to him a bit more? Again, we'll have to see. But I certainly think with as coach mentioned earlier, the East is going to be definitely fairly open this year. So anybody can certainly make a run. So I mean, certainly if they can, keep some continuity. I don't think they're going to be in on it. If Giannis, if he decides to stay in Milwaukee or go somewhere else, I don't think the Knicks is going to be a destination for him if you wanted to. I just don't think they have the assets to acquire him. So the team is going to be pretty much what it's going to be. Well, and can he get more out of them? We have to see.
I put this like this. I know this going to be his first year coaching that team, but I believe still, because I don't think the Knicks, as far as I know as of now, as far as a roster, especially their starting 5, they haven't lost anybody yet.
No.
They still have. So you need to tell me Boston lost their best player. So he's not going to be playing next year. Indiana lost their player 1A or 1B, however you look at it. He's not going to be there next year. And the fact that Indiana just traded, they lost Miles Turner
Bucks.
because they didn't want to pay those luxury tax on them.
Mm.
So that team is taking a big hit. You lost two of your crucial players right there.
Yeah.
So basically, the East is, I believe, is going to be New York, Cleveland, Orlando, and Detroit. Now, Atlanta made some moves, but I got to still see how they mesh. But I know Orlando and Detroit, they knocking on the door.
Yeah.
I believe Cleveland, y'all proved like you had the number 1 seed last year, but you got beat by Indiana. If they don't make it to the NBA Finals this year, because no path can be as easy. I mean, two of the better teams that, they lost their best player. And then the rest is just these young and upcoming teams that, Cleveland, you have a bona fide star and also a deep squad. So I believe next season, Cleveland better make it out the East. Because then I think if they don't, I think you may start hearing some noise about Donovan Mitchell and how can he deliver, can he be that team that can lead a team to a final. Right now, his pathway is mold for him.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, we'll get into some more, certainly some more NBA news as the show goes on. Certainly want to move the conversation to the NFL. So, again, the big news that came out on Monday was certainly the big trade. Basically, Minkah Fitzpatrick going back to Miami where he was drafted in 2018, and they get Jalen Ramsey. Certainly to the Steelers. They also get Jonnu Smith, who's a Pro Bowl tight end for Miami last year, and then they swapped a couple picks in 2027. So so this was certainly a surprise. I think to a lot of Steeler Nation. It was kind of like a mixed reaction because it's like everybody knows that certainly Jalen Ramsey is a dog, and certainly he's got a lot of ability, but he is 31 years old. So again, not sure he's going to be here for the long term. A lot of the talk was that Minkah Fitzpatrick, the last couple, he's been a Pro Bowl, certainly an All-Pro safety, but the last couple of years, the production, he used to be a ball hawk. And was known for a lot of interceptions. He hasn't had an interception like the last couple of years. Certainly, a lot of those numbers came down, and so the talk was, maybe it might be best to trade him, and certainly the way the league values players. I mean, if you can get a top-notch corner who can play multiple positions. I mean, he can play the edge, he can play the slot, and he on occasion he can play some safety. Versus Minkah, and I think I showed you guys some video earlier on. God was dissecting Minkah. He's getting beat on a lot of plays now. So it's like it's better to get rid of him now than commit, because I think he was going to count. I think this year like $24 million on the cap against him, and so so they made the move. But then this also sparked conversation about, because obviously T.J. Watt, who is definitely their best defensive player, period, and arguably this probably, if not the best, to say the top 3 edge rushers in the NFL, he's in contract negotiations with the Steelers, and basically what the news is, he wants to be paid like the number 1 guy. So we all know what Garrett got. We all know what the edge rusher from the Raiders got, and he basically wants to be the highest paid in the NFL. And so, so that negotiation is still ongoing, but it sparked the conversation. I just want to, first I want to get your comments on the trade, but then the topic that I've heard this going all the way back to Bill Walsh days. Bill Walsh with San Francisco 49ers. He had a philosophy that you always want to trade a player a couple years before he kind of goes on the decline, so you can get the most value for the player. So again, that strategy certainly can't argue with success that the 49ers had. He won 3 Super Bowls with them. But the problem is that he also burned a lot of relationships that way. Also, I remember the safety defensive back Ronnie Lott didn't talk for him for years for trading him when they were kind of in the middle of their run. So it's 2 questions on the table. One, your thoughts on the trade itself. Do you think who got the better end of this trade? And then secondly, well, I asked 3 questions. Secondly, Do you think the Steelers keep T.J. Watt, or do they trade him? And thirdly, what's your thought just overall on how loyal do you stay to a guy? Do you keep a guy when he's kind of at the height of his powers, or when he's kind of on the downside? Now, TJ, the second half of the year, he kind of slid a little bit. He'll be 31 years old this year. Just got married recently, just had his first baby and whatnot. So have his best days started to, are we starting to see the second half of his career? So do what's your thoughts on just trading a player earlier and getting top value for that player while you still can, or should they commit to him for the long haul for what's estimated to be at least $42 million? Because I know Gary got over 41, so he wants to be the highest paid. So what's your thoughts on those two? And we'll start with the coach, and then we chop it up.
I mean, just in what Bill Walsh said, that's something that's always been in the NFL, general manager ownership. They understand it. That's why they trade you at times. That's just part of the philosophy. Bill Walsh just spoke it out loud, right? So, yeah, I can understand it. But as far as this trade, I think the Steelers are making some good moves, man. I think they're going to sign TJ. I think he's going to re-sign. You got another defensive edge. I mean, somebody that can be almost a shutdown corner. 31 is perfect, prime. As long as he don't get no injury. Fitzpatrick, I think that's an even trade, but I think Pittsburgh overall has done things to improve on both sides of the ball through free agency. I don't know. I think they messed up the draft because everybody was trying to avoid Shador. He would have been a great fit with them. Just because of the coach, but they're gonna pay TJ. He's gonna come in. He is 31. Is in the second half, so 4 years. He can get injured though. They're gonna have some injury clauses in there but he does a lot for Pittsburgh though. I think by having Jalen Ramsey, who is experienced, and that's an even trade. But I think Pittsburgh overall has gotten better.
Mm. And so what's your overall philosophy on, do you trade a guy a little bit earlier than you would, or if a guy who's been, because he's been Mr. Steeler.
He's been the man, but that's
Mr. Steeler. Do you
that's up to each general manager. You know what I'm saying? You got to look at TJ's consistency over the last 5-6 years. He's been one of the top 3 edge rushers. So you got to look at that. Bringing in somebody else now, that's okay, but 3 to 5 years contract, and then he can retire or he can talk about something else after that. But right now, you ain't got a whole lot to go. Plus, he's missed the defense for Pittsburgh right now.
Yeah, no question, he's the man, and it certainly would be. I think the reaction to Minkah getting traded, even though he was a well-liked player, I think people again started to see some of the decline in his play. But again, there's no question, TJ is like I said, he's Mr. Steeler. So I think there would be a lot of outrage unless, look, if someone's going to offer next year a first-round pick for him, that would have to be, I think the only thing that was certainly satisfy Pittsburgh. But the fact that it hasn't been done yet, how long they're going to drag this out. Now technically he's still on the roster. He can play this year. This is his last year of his contract, and they can still, if they wanted to, they could put the franchise tag on him. So that's another option for the year after that. So they can play this year out, put a franchise on the next year, and so that could take place. Or, like I said, they could sign him to a long-term deal, or they can, like I said, trade him at the height of his trade value. So, Shawnee, what's your thoughts on first the Fitzpatrick trade, and then on TJ Watt? What do you got on that?
I think the Steelers won the trade. Both are good players, but I think Ramsey is still looked at as one of the better corners in the NFL. Fitzpatrick, who's going to be next on the depth chart for Pittsburgh since they got rid of their starting safety?
Well, again, they already signed Elliott. They just gave him a contract, so Elliott's definitely going to be number one. And then you can also got the guy, the veteran guy they got from the Eagles. He can drop into that position as well. But I think, and they may not be done. They may still go and sign a veteran safety at some point in the season as well. So I don't know if they're quite done yet with that, but I think they like the versatility of Ramsey. Like I said, he can play. He can do a little safety. He can do a little slot. He can kind of do it all. Very physical. But definitely Elliott is definitely going to be, as far as strong safety, definitely going to be that. He's definitely locked in for that role.
Just because the receivers that are in the AFC North, he would definitely feel that position need. You get the Bengals and Chase. Then you have the Ravens, and I think they re-signed Bateman. And then Browns, they got multiple holes they got to figure out. But yeah, I think Steelers won that trade. That's the thing, I guess, about being a GM, about trading a player right before you got to project, like right before they could potentially show any type of signs of decline. Yeah, with a GM, you see some GMs get kind of too close to players, but some of the successful GMs, yeah, you got to keep a distance from players, because if you're going to operate like that, you could potentially make a move in that fashion that, like you mentioned before, it could potentially burn bridges. But your role as a GM, and will always be, you are trying to build the best team as possible each and every year. So, unfortunately, sports is not even just football, basketball as well. Any sport, they always say it's just business, but the player many times eventually will take it personal, because you prematurely traded me and whatnot, especially if they was performing and you trying to trade them, because as far as fans, you hear us always say, if you're going to trade them, I've mentioned it, and this can kind of lead with also with Watt. And y'all gonna hate me because I'm gonna mention him again, because it's the same situation. But I mentioned it when the Cowboys. I said you should trade Parsons because he's high value now. But that's the Cowboys are different because they don't operate in free agency. So my whole point was like, well, y'all clearly just depend on the draft. You need picks, and since you basically pigeonholed yourself, you may need to trade Parsons. Right now, with the Steelers, and I guess the Steelers fan base about to find out, like this defensive end position, because both Parsons and Watt are in the same class. They had an elite class. They're not going to come cheap. So you already have the Cowboys fans down here. They already feel some type of way because of Dak, how big his contract is. And then you got Lamb's contract. Well, it's not going to get any smaller when you get Parsons his money. Right. And he could potentially be and that would be interesting, because you can best believe Parsons and Watt. What's up, Coach?
I have a question. You saying trade Michael Parsons as he ascends in his career? He ain't even he's 26, 27?
No, but that was my thing, because before they signed Dak, I was like, okay, that's the biggest thing. The Cowboys don't participate in free agency. They only participate in the draft. And right now they had 3 players who was going to demand top dollar at their respective position.
Yep.
And you already cheap with how, so I'm like, okay, so it's basically just process of elimination. You don't want to participate in free agency, so you're going to go and
draft low, pay high. It's what they do.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, trade them. Because all 3 of those players will return premium picks, multiple first rounders. Because you're gonna have to rebuild right now. Because right now the atmosphere down here is just like it's empty. I mean, there's nothing really to be excited about. So that's why I was like, okay, you're gonna trade Parsons, because it's gonna get worse when Parsons gets his money. And I was about to admit, Parsons and Watt are watching each other. You can
I was about to suggest that could it be like the reason why things haven't gotten done yet? It's like they were like, who's going to blink first? The Cowboys.
Both of them have a year left in their current contract.
Correct. Yeah.
So if Parsons signed first, guess what? Watt, okay, give me more than him, or vice versa. Because like I say, they in the same class. They in that elite class. They already saw Myles Garrett, so that's their baseline right now. But what's good about them is, okay, both of them are the same exact situation. So they just sit there looking at what he gonna sign. Okay, give me what he get plus, because they're not going to take lower than what the other players getting, and to their respective franchise, they're going to be worth what they get. But then as a team, like I say, right now I don't really know the Steelers payroll thing, but with the Cowboys,
they're fairly under the cap. They got money. I mean, they could certainly sign Watt. They just, like I said, I think the age is a major factor. That they'll be paying him. He'll be 36 by assuming he doesn't retire before then. And again, just the production kind of went down. They talk about this year they're going to be moving him around because he typically works that left edge, and now they talk about having him more moving around and whatnot to scheme for him better. So it's a big commitment if they sign up for that, again, regardless of his past production. But with Parsons, you got a guy who's definitely in his prime. Exactly. And certainly who could play anywhere and be successful. I think if the Steelers, if somehow Dallas and Steelers wanted to do some sort of swap or whatever, even still, that would require, I think the Steelers would probably have to give up a first round or something. Because again, I think Parsons, just his youth.
So you're saying if Parsons, if they trade,
just like they did with Ramsey and Fitzpatrick, if they did like Ramsey, Because you could also keep in mind, Fitzpatrick is 28, Ramsey's 31. So again, there's also an age consideration there as well. But again, and also I think it depends on the desire of the team. I think the Steelers, from what I've been seeing, they definitely have much more of a win now mentality. I think that's why they got Aaron Rodgers. If they wanted to just wait it out and see what happens, they could have went with Mason Rudolph and got another better to come in here. But I think there is a sense of a win now. So if you think that a guy like Parsons can help you win now, then it wouldn't be out of the ordinary if they want to make that kind of splash. But again, who do you think is more likely to hold out? So let's say going in, TJ holds out, or do you think Parsons? Do you think Parsons will hold out?
I don't, because I don't think so. Because with Parsons being on the Cowboys, he already, like I mentioned, he already seen two players go through this. He knows Jerry will ultimately pay his players, his elite players. Jerry will pay them. Mm-hmm. And I think with Parsons, he also, because Watt finished the year last year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Parsons, he didn't. What? Oh hell no! Hold on.
Yeah.
He missed. He missed the gap. He missed a huge chunk, and then he came back towards the end. So, I don't think he will sit out, because, like I mentioned, he knows Jerry will pay him, and it may just be a matter of, okay, you either gonna pay me or you gonna trade me. But I don't think the money aspect. I don't think, because Jerry has shown on multiple occasions he will fold to his elite players. He did that with Dak. He did that with Zeke. He gave Zeke his money prematurely. So he will fold to his players. So
you think after all this time he still hasn't learned his lesson?
It's just how it's like that. It's like Jerry is the ultimate closer and want to give all the money. Meanwhile, the son he's tight with the money. So they just go back and forth. But with Watt, I definitely can see Watt holding out the percentage.
Even into the season?
Yeah.
Holding out even into the season?
Yeah, like
possibly they're saying, look, if you get into the second week of training camp and he's not there, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if he does. But I would still think Parsons might be more likely to hold out than Watt. But we'll just have to see. I mean, it's definitely
I know that.
But overall, if you were GM, are you getting rid of a guy early, or are you keeping loyalty? Are you a loyalty guy, or you forward thinking kind of don't get involved type of guy. What would be your GM philosophy?
Me personally, I think I'll be a loyalty guy.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
But I would have to. But I would have to be. Even though I'm loyal, I'm gonna have to have this transparency with my players, knowing that I'm gonna be loyal to you. But if there comes a point in time, because my job, like I mentioned, is team first. I'm gonna be loyal to you as much as I can. But if there's a position that opportunity that presents itself to where I can trade you and it will benefit this team, I'm gonna make that move.
Man,
so it's basically loyalty to a condition because
you ain't loyal.
They say 1% disloyal, 1%, 99% loyalty is 100% disloyalty.
You have to do that as a GM because if you loyal to a player, you already know that loyalty to a player you basically gonna have to be loyal to them on the downside of their career, which then can impact your team. So with a GM, you can be loyal to a player and end up losing your job.
It ain't loyal to a player. That's what gets them in trouble when you have to be loyal to the production of the player. Is the player producing on the field is the key though. He can be an older player, but we've seen some older players, they really can still produce at a high level, barring injury. You know what I'm saying? TJ Watt has had some injuries and he is older. So there's two things working against him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
I mean, no question, he's still Pro Bowl / All Pro. A couple years ago, he was DPOY
top 3
defense. Yeah, he was. But I mean, he was winning Defensive Player of the Year, and then 1 year they said he should have won it back to back over Myles Garrett, but they gave it to Garrett. But again, he's Pro Bowl plus. I don't know if you want to call him All Pro. Would you put it this way? Who you picking between Garrett and Parsons? And Watt, who you picking?
I'm picking
right
Garrett.
Now.
Over Parsons, I'm picking Garrett.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm saying, but Watt also. So Watt's your number 3 then.
No, if all three players was healthy, I'm going Garrett, Watt, Parsons. The only reason I put Watt in front of Parsons because Parsons is undersized. So and Watt,
Watt's the MVP.
And Watt can play pass and run.
Yes.
Yeah.
Parsons, he literally gets that exactly. You get a massive left tackle on him, or who can move, completely swallows Parsons.
You fold up like
exactly. So as great as a pass rusher, that's the main thing about Parsons. You almost want to say Parsons is one-dimensional. You almost want to go that because you notice when Parsons, he has to get a wide split. Mm-hmm. He gets a wide split so he has the speed to bow. But if that tackle has some athleticism and they can move and it's a rushing, you know what teams do. They gonna run to Parsons' side, and that's another thing, Coach. I was mentioning, okay, trade Parsons because that completely take Parsons out the game. Mm-hmm. Watt and Garrett, they big boys. They can fight through and tackle. Like his brother, JJ was like the same way.
Yeah.
But Parsons, he can end up on the sideline somewhere. He just completely disappear from the play.
So that being said, so you got a guy like Watt and you're the GM, you still gonna be giving him that speed. So look, if I gotta make the team bet, I'm trading. You're not gonna be loyal to him.
They should have did
that.
Because
those guys don't come around. Those guys don't. There's very few TJ Watts or JJ Watts in the league. So I mean, if the guy's been balling, he's been DPOY, he's been All Pro, and whatnot. I mean, when do you get married to him? Or you just want to play? You just want to string him along before you.
Because you already know Watt is going to look for like at least a 3-year contract. So you already know that, and by that time, by the end of that 3rd year. Who knows what kind of conditioning it is.
Well, that's the thing. And now that I think what they're offering is a 5-year, because again, the 3-year, that's going to be too much against the cap. They can spread that money around over 5 years, but you're looking at a 5-year, 200 and at least 200 mil. I mean, it's got to be at least that.
Hold on, he don't want the 5-year, Mr. Bennett. What are you looking for?
No, I'm saying
TJ
they want to give him a 5-year. No, I think he would take a 3-year if they gave him a 140, something like that or whatever. He would take it. I'm just saying, but they want a 5-year because it's better for their cap.
Yeah.
But then again, 5 years at $200 million plus. I don't know if they want to. I don't know if they want to be married that long. That's
brother Bennett. In football, what they have is a signing bonus. They can give him $100 million signing bonus and spread the rest out.
That's what I'm saying. But again, it's easier on the cap year to year if you spread it over 5 versus 3.
Don't count against the cap.
It doesn't, but you still got a bunch left over. Let's say if they gave him, let's get a signing bonus, or let's say they guaranteed $100 million of it.
$25 million a year. You get $25, $30 million a year. That's cool. That's good. That's good.
Listen. I want him to stay. It's not that I don't. I'm just saying, just given their recent moves, they're willing to get rid of Minka, who's a team captain and all that kind of stuff or whatever. This GM Omar Khan, he's a different beast than the guy who was there before. He'll cut you, if he thinks he could get a better deal out of it. So I'm just saying. So the mindset is different. This isn't the old Steelers that was built on that loyalty stuff or whatever. They'll move off if they think they can advance. They haven't won a playoff game in 8 years. Folks getting anxious. Tomlin's like, look, maybe I need to change some things up. Hanging on to players too long or whatever, and just moving on from guys who, once they start to show a little bit of being disgruntled, maybe it's time to find a new home or what have you. So
imagine the package they'll get for what though.
Yeah.
They can get a hell of a package right
That's what I'm saying. If they get a first round, because the thing is, they're still maybe looking for their franchise QB in next year's draft. Now, I would take a chance on Will Howard. Based on what I saw this past year, I'm thinking, okay, he's going to be tutored by Aaron Rodgers, who said he would, if he wants it, he would mentor him. I was like, I want to see what Howard can do, because the quarterbacks that they're projecting next year, I'm not seeing the love for those guys. I mean, I think that the Manning guy, I don't know if these guys are going to ball out like that, if they're going to be the guys. I think this last year's class might have been better than the one that's coming out next year.
You can't still get me to understand why they pass up Sanders like they did.
Right, but I'm just saying, just overall, I just think this quarterback class might have been better than the one that's the names that they mentioned coming out next year. None of those guys are moving me too much. The one guy who was at the at Tennessee and he left and he went to another school or whatever. I mean, I don't know if I'm a GM. Do I want to see a guy leave? He had his NIL deal. Emiliava or something like that. Yeah, but he's mentioned as one of those top guys. But I don't want him. If
me neither.
So that's what I'm saying. So again, I'm saying roll the dice with Howard and see what the kid can do, and whatnot. But he's got championship pedigree. And he's won everywhere he's at. So I would rather do that than go all in. So let's say if you stick with him, you still get a number one next year if you trade it Watt, and then build for the future. I mean, that's like if it doesn't happen, if you talk about going into training camp and he's still not, if we go into August 1st and he's still not in camp yet, then I think you have to have a serious conversation about, look, we gonna get the most out of this as we can. Because they don't want to pay him $45 million, which is basically, if Garrett got 40.5, he's going to want 41, 42. And I just don't think they're willing to commit to that. So
I'm looking at the prospects now. Obviously, the biggest name on the list is Arch Manning. And he
only played 2 games last year.
Yeah, but if his name is on there, especially depending on how he plays at Texas, they gonna talk about him a lot in next year's prospect, draft prospect. His name will be mentioned, but you got Garrett Nussmeier, LSU, Carson Beck.
Can I say something sacrilegious here? Can we say that the Mannings are overrated?
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Overrated. Hang on. First of all, Archie Manning. First of all, he played for the Saints all those years. He was terrible. Either he was on a bad team or he's always hurt. He was a decent NFL quarterback, but not that great. If you look at Peyton Manning's record, not the greatest. His playoff record, he's like a 500 playoff player. Lost all those championship games. He the last championship he won was because of his defense on that Denver team, and I don't know why Cam Newton and Carolina fell apart there. wasn't the greatest there. So again, his record is, couldn't beat Brady for 1 year. He beat Brady, and it's anyone who's been luckier than New York's Manning. I mean, that the helmet catch in the game or whatever, and take those 2 Super Bowls out, his career is below average. But they may get him into the Hall of Fame because he won 2 Super Bowls. But if he got in there, then Jim Plunkett needs to be in the Hall of Fame because he's got 2 Super Bowls also. But I'm just saying, but I mean, the Manning name, the Manning brass, yes, it's good, but them is like, oh my gosh, it's like, are they the greatest ever? I think, I think the name is a little bit overrated. So I'm not buying into the Manning mystique that these guys, you get one of those guys, you're golden for some time. I mean, look, Peyton had a lot of very productive years in the regular season. His playoffs is very suspect, and I just think that so I'm not
arguably,
so.
but many believe that it's the greatest quarterback of all time. That's the person he kept losing to. I mean,
but he lost that. Wait, he got blown out by Russell Wilson in the Super Bowl. How many AFC Championship games did he lose? I mean, it's like, just look at his playoff record. It's not very good. It's 500 or below 500. He's like 9-10 or 10-9 or something like that. I mean, a good quarterback, no question about it. A Hall of Fame quarterback. I will give him that also. But his brother, I mean, marginal. I mean, if he gets into the Hall, now you're talking about the Hall of very good. And now all this hype on this kid who played 2 games, but everyone basically wants to give him the mantle that, he's going to carry on the Manning tradition. I'm like, slow down. Can I see him for a season first?
Yeah, I feel the
can
same
you slow
way.
that? Can you slow it down before we go off the rails like he's automatically going to be the number 1 guy? Because I'm thinking if he was that guy, he would have been that guy already. I'm sorry.
My biggest thing watching UT down here, what's up, Antoine? That Quinn Ewers was the better passer of the 2. But obviously, Arch Manning is more mobile because that was the biggest thing. That you saw that with Ewers, especially when Texas played Georgia. He could not handle the rush of Georgia. So, but people are trying to figure out why isn't Manning playing more? Why is he playing more? But because Ewers was technically the better passer of the football. And
Ewers, when did he get drafted? It was like late. Did he?
Yeah. He got.
But it was like he was like a late pick. He wasn't in the top. I don't think he was like certainly not in the top 5-6 rounds.
Where did he go? Oh, he went to Miami.
What round?
7th round.
7th round. So you can't beat out a guy who got drafted in the 7th round, and then you're going to tell me that this guy's going to be the number 1 pick coming out next year. I'm not buying it. I mean, I think there'll be a lot of hype train. There'll be a lot of politics. The networks will want to put him up there. They'll promote the heck out of him. Manning, the next guy, and all the college football shows will do all the hype and stuff. But again, you got to show me something. And if you couldn't beat out a guy who barely got drafted, then I'm not buying into the hype. But I know I'm derailing the conversation, but I just kind of.
I do give him props though. He was willing to sit behind because a quarterback of his stature as far as publicity, he would have definitely moved, transferred to it. But he
didn't. But that tells me something also. Why didn't he?
Well, I believe the Mannings, they trust Sark.
Johnny, man, stop it, man.
No, that's what I heard. The Mannings they trust Sark and believe that he can develop him. So I believe that's why they was like, you stay there. You don't go nowhere because they have a good relationship with Sarkisian. So they're like, okay.
Well, he get a chance to start this year.
Yeah.
And if he has a great season, he may go late 1st round, middle 1st round.
I think he has a great season. He may be the first.
I don't know. Based off the track record of those before him, they've had some great luck. Great luck. I mean, you couldn't get no better luck than they have before. And they both have 2 Super Bowls. So, in a Tom Brady era. So, are they
Like I
And
said, the man for the Giants, the luckiest.
it wasn't for them.
He's the
Tom,
luckiest guy to win two Super Bowls of all time. That's all I'm saying.
wasn't
And you
even
look at his record overall. Take those 2 years out. His record is not what's his record? His record is not Hall of Fame worthy. He got a bunch of passing yards and whatnot, but again, his regular season record, virtually no playoff appearances after that. I'm sorry, I'm not buying the hype train
You look at Eli's stats, you like.
So in about that 14-year period, it was either Tom Brady out of Manning's, and I think Russell Wilson was the only one got a Super Bowl in there, wasn't it? Who else got a Super Bowl in there?
You talking about versus Brady?
It was 3. Drew Brees. Was that
who beat Manning?
No, that won a Super Bowl in the last 20 years.
It was Russell. It was the Eagles.
Drew Brees.
It was Nick Foles.
Nick Foles, yeah.
and Eli.
And Stafford.
I think it's those 3.
No,
yeah.
Because what Brady went to what? 10
Well, Ben.
Super Bowls?
I mean, Ben had a couple. So
yeah, Big Ben. Yeah.
Well, Brady went to what? 10 Super Bowls
and won 7. Yeah.
And 2 of them, the one y'all mentioned about right now. There's only one decisive win, complete win, was when he lost against the Eagles, even though they was in that game.
Yeah.
But
the guy went crazy threw like over 500 yards in that game.
Everything else was close. Yeah, it's crazy.
So it was. I was gonna bring up something, but I forgot. Oh well.
The only thing Arch Manning has in common with his father, uncles, and grandfather, he's playing in the SEC because Texas left the Big 12. So, yeah, I'm not I'm not impressed. But look, I wish him well, and hopefully he can move on. But let's jump back into the NBA.
What certainly talking about.
Hang on, so we gonna get back into it. Say take away Ray Allen and Kyrie LeBron. So I guess that's his LeBron knock on LeBron James. So speaking of that, LeBron, if he stays with the Lakers, so again, I heard some talk earlier that I don't know if he's going to be certainly part of it long term, if he's going to be there for another year or two, or what they said move on. But certainly DeAndre Ayton coming out of Portland, signed with signed with the Lakers. So 7-footer, fairly decent defender. Didn't go well for him in those last years in Phoenix. He's been a decent player. I don't think he's a game changer. Average 16.4 points per game for his career, but he's only 26 years old. So again, I think he's still got certainly a lot of youth. He'll definitely help them on the defensive side, which they need. But whether or not his attitude will be there, again, you hope if he plays with a veteran like LeBron, that it'll be a little bit easier. But I know he went real sour. The last I even heard of the guy was when he was in those last years with Phoenix, and didn't end well. Basically, quit on his team. So any thoughts? I was wishing Dante would be here because I know he's the Laker guy. So I want to get his 2 cents on that. But any thoughts on DeAndre Ayton coming to the Lakers? Do you think this helps with the balance of power? Because right now it looks like Houston could certainly be one of the favorites coming out of the West. Again, with the acquisition of KD and the other moves that they made, so Houston's definitely going to be there. We already got OKC, and Minnesota. I don't know. I don't know. There's still something missing with Minnesota. I don't think they're going to be relevant. Denver, I think, may be more of a presence there than that. But with the acquisition of Ayton, Shawnee, what do you think this puts the Lakers? Will this help to improve their chances in the mix?
I don't think so, because I don't think nobody's really been able to figure out how to unlock this super player that Ayton was prospected to be. As a former number 1 overall pick with Phoenix, he has not, really lived up to.
Johnny, you sound pretty low.
Let me tell. Go ahead, Coach. I'll try to fix my volume.
That sounds pretty good.
He sounded higher when he spoke up.
Okay.
Oh. But, I was saying that I don't think Ayton is going to have that big. I mean, he'll provide some rim protection, but like I mentioned, as a former number 1 overall pick, and, when he was drafted by Phoenix, he had he was a major prospect. But either Phoenix or Portland, nobody's been able to unlock this super prospect that he was, supposed to be coming out of college. So I just think he's just gonna be a rim protector. Um, he right now he's in the same boat as Clint Capella to me. He's just a rim runner. That's basically, I know he was supposed to be this focal point on Phoenix squad when he was drafted, but no, he's not like that. I think playing with LeBron, he would be able to get some easy baskets. Kind of like Dwight Howard after he left Orlando. So don't be looking to be a main focal point in the offense. You just run to the rim, whatnot, do your pick and rolls, and just wait for an easy lob for LeBron or Luka, especially. So, but as far as a massive peak, they could have did the same thing if they would have traded for Mark Williams, and that trade would have went through. It would have been the same thing. So, they got a big man. That's about it. They just feel the need.
Coach, what are your thoughts on?
Dang, Sonny, I completely agree, man. I think it's a great pickup for him going to LA and LA getting him, right? Because he don't even have to do that much with just block shots and follow up, catch alley-oops. LeBron and Luka go handle the ball most of the time. That's why it wasn't a good fit in for him in Phoenix, because he had ball hogs. And he was still averaging 16 points a game. That's all you need out of a center. The days of averaging 25 points, 30 points for most, unless they're shooting a lot, he's not a volume shooter. So he's to me, when his head is in the game, he's a step above Rudy Gobert. But Rudy Gobert is in the game most of the time. Sometimes he's not in the game. That's because he be out in the clubs after the game. But if he comes to LA and only thing he's going to require to do now, see, even with AD, he wasn't a true center. He was a 4 or 5. And AD, he played better at the 4, but they needed him at the 5. Ayton is only going to play 5. And then you got Kmet, shoot small guard. I'm not sure what's another big man that they got. They need another power forward. I don't know who they have, but they do have. Yeah, they got a couple of good young players that can play the 4. I think it's a good move for him this time in his career. Yeah, I think it's a good move. I don't like Austin Reeves there, but LA like him, so that's a decent little lineup. LeBron's older, but he can still get you 24, 25 every night. You think
they're gonna make a deep playoff run with this lineup?
I ain't gonna say deep.
Supposed to be?
I ain't gonna say deep, but I can see them second. They're gonna need another piece to this 5, right? Maybe 2 pieces. I see them needing another point guard and another scorer for this team, for that little 5 right there. But we'll see. I think it's a good pickup for LA. Cheap pickup. Career average 16, he's only 26. Him and Luka about the same age. It's a whole lot of upside to that. So.
Yeah. All right, moving to the last NBA topic of the night. So I figured, again, we're in the sports purgatory, so I saw this here, and I wanted to kind of chop it up a little bit with you guys. So again, obviously, there comes a time, when the player kind of hangs on too long. And sometimes you see some of the greats of the game, sort of at the end of their careers. So the question on the floor is, which OG had the saddest ending to their career? We all like it where, you want your guy to retire with the team or whatnot and have his farewell like Kobe did or, what have you. But some of these guys, when they start leaving teams and going elsewhere, they're not as good as they were. But, thought I'd just throw that out there as a topic and for the chat as well. So, you got Karl Malone, Jordan, Olajuwon, McGrady, Rodman, my man, even Dominique Wilkins. I forgot he played for the Celtics for a minute. Patrick Ewing, so all these guys here. So just base it, or if there's a guy off the list. Now, my pick would be a guy off the list. First of all, I got no shade for Robert Parrish. Robert Parrish, towards the end of his career, went and got him another chip with the Bulls. So I don't mind. I'm sure he went out certainly on a good stint, but I would put Shaq up here. Because remember, after a while, Shaq was going everywhere. He was on Boston. He went to Cleveland. It's like, dude, you 350 pounds, can barely move or whatever. But these guys keep picking you up to play. But I think he should have won that down years before he retired. But that would be my pick, and he's not even on this list. I know Sean Kippen, and we see had some issues off the court, certainly after his playing career. But I'll probably put Shaq, because Shaq, I mean, he's like, dude, you got all the money you want and whatever, but he just, he could barely get off the bench and play. That was sad watching him trying to motor down up and down the court at 350 pounds. So that'd be my pick. But what say you guys, Coach? You guys who kind of went on too long, you would hate to see him in that situation. They should have just retired, went off to the sunset, enjoyed their career and whatnot, and would have had best. So who would be on your list in terms of the saddest? You didn't want to see them guys out there like that.
Looking at the list, I was trying to separate the players that didn't get a championship compared to the players that did. So the players that did, I would just dismiss them. Most of them were impactful players in their career and, fairly successful, top 50 players. The ones that didn't, I thought about Shaq initially. I said Shaq could be on this list towards the end, but as far as overall, based off this list, I would give it to Karl Malone. Just because, he had them run-ins with Michael. Then he was on a stacked LA team. They had
him and Peyton, right?
Yeah. And Steve Nash. Was Steve Nash there too?
I think they had a nice team, but it just fizzled out, So, yeah, as far as on the court, I would give it to, and based off his list, I would give it to Karl Malone, because I thought he would at least jump. Him and Stockton would have jumped to her the butt.
Now, Anton says Vince Carter, but I don't know, was he even a title contender at that point, even during the COVID year? So I think you got to at least be.
He was old during COVID.
Well, yeah, I mean that was just sort of the coup de grace, but I mean some of these guys again they just kept finding a home with some teams. Like I said, that's why like I said Shaq. I'm like, dude, it's painful hearing you trying to get you to play. But Shawnee, what you got to pick here?
Kemp and Ewing, and I remember Olajuwon just looked. He just like, you don't belong in Toronto, because he was always with the Rockets. And I remember when he had his press conference, Vince Carter was there with him. He was so excited. He's like, oh, he's an Olajuwon. He's getting Olajuwon. Oh, Olajuwon. Olajuwon had the dream shaking with the Rockets. It was just a shake when he was with the Raptors. He didn't have no dream to it no more. I was like, oh, no. I don't know how long he stayed with the Raptors. I think he just stayed 1 year. Mm-hmm. Jordan just abused his power. That's when he owned the Wizards. So he forced himself on that roster. So you couldn't keep him up that roster if you wanted to. He owned the team at the time. Rodman was one of those players who started bouncing a lot. People just got tired of Rodman being Rodman, and the Bulls, and because he wasn't really like that with Pistons. Rodman was pretty he was a tough player, but he was, I don't want to say low key or not. He didn't have that Rodman personality.
No, that didn't come out until he went to San Antonio, because he didn't want to leave. Like he loved Chuck Daly. That was like a father to him. Mm-hmm. And so when they traded him to San Antonio, then that's when the hair came out and all that kind of stuff, and he just flipped personalities.
But they were
at that point. He just didn't care anymore.
Deal with that because he was winning.
At the end, he was sort of a different type of mindset of a player. Yeah. I remember when I was in the service, I used to go down to Fort Sam Houston, Texas for some medical, right? And I used to go to the San Antonio games, man. The tickets was like $8-9 at the time, and Dennis Rodman was there. I went to about maybe 10, 12 games throughout my entire little stay there, throughout the times I went back and forth. And man, Dennis Rodman had the whole city on fire. Dennis Rodman was the man, and David Robinson didn't like it. He used to have the crowd pumped up, man. The crowd, Dennis Rodman going crazy in there. The Admiral didn't like it, and they traded him, and the rest was history. So
now, going back to what we were talking about in the NFL about the GM and how you could be loyal or whatnot, that was Popovich. Popovich was loyal, but as soon as you did something that was out of line, and he'll warn them. He'll warn him, say, you do that again, you out of here. And if that person go and do it again, they were gone. So Popovich, even though he was
So what
loyal,
did Parker did something to get out there? He should have retired a
Steven Jackson.
yeah, Parker was just over.
Parker, Parker had that. I think Parker had that off the court thing going on. That soap opera stuff between him and
his ex-wife.
Well, that and what's his name? So he was teammates was Brent Barry, and I think it turned out that Parker slept with Brent Barry's wife. That's why Brent Barry and his wife divorced. There was all this soap opera stuff going on with Parker. I don't know what he got going on.
Well, I don't remember that one, but
yeah, it was. Wow. It was down there.
So who's your pick? So who's your pick, Shawnee? Then I guess Elijah Wan.
Kemp, Ewing. At the time, it was Kemp, Ewing, and Rodman.
Yeah. Well, Kemp probably, I'd say out of everybody here, he might be like the worst one off financially. I think he was one of those players, $40 million and broke or whatever. He was like that guy who played for the Celtics, Anton. I forget his last name.
Antoine Walker.
Yeah. So he was like one of those kind of hardship cases and whatnot. So he might be the worst off out of all the guys who are on it. And that's saying a lot, especially with Rodman. But certainly, you don't want to see guys play on too long. But again, the point that we were making earlier, again, when the guy's on the latter half of his career. So you're talking about outside of Jordan. And that second run, the 96, 97, 98, you can argue he wasn't as good as that first championship run, but he was still Jordan. Everybody else, you could make a case, when they started to kind of decline in their careers and whatnot, would it have been good to trade? Like Patrick Ewing, you could have made a case. Knicks, he was there, 19 years with the Knicks before he left. You could have made a case that, after those runs with the Bulls, that they could have traded him then if need be. But I think they were fairly loyal, and he wanted to keep playing. So you can't stop a guy. Some of these guys like Jordan, they retired actually and decided to come back into the game. So I'm not going to be too mad at that either. But like I said, Shaq is my guy here.
So Brother Bennett, I know we ain't gonna talk about it, right? But I just want to throw this in there, man. Shout out to Bobby Bonilla, man, of the New York Mets.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right. It was Bobby Bonilla Day a couple of years ago.
While we talking about Bonilla, the way they're doing contracts now, all this deferring, that's gonna be Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah,
all this deferring they keep doing with them.
They already talked. It's already set up. He gonna get it like in 15 years.
How do y'all feel about that? Because to me, I think that's kind of because the Dodgers, they already have a high payroll. And now you found this loophole where now you can basically sign anybody, especially a caliber player like Ohtani, and you paying him crumbs in the beginning and backfilling all the way. I'm like, come on now.
Shawnee, listen. Hey, come on, Shawnee. As a player, you the player, you all with that. I'm with it. Yeah, give me money as I get older. I'm still
as a player,
with it. That's what I'm saying.
But the thing that makes the Bonilla thing so bad is that he sucked when he got to the Mets. He was good. Him and Bonds and Bonilla, they were almost like the Bash brothers in Pittsburgh. And then as soon as he gets, which happened to a lot of players, quite frankly, whether you came to the Yankees or the Mets, something about playing in New York, you would lose a lot of your shine. That's why guys who were able to do it, like Reggie Jackson when he came, like Mike Piazza when he came to the Mets, if you come to New York and you still carry your star with you, they love you. I mean, Mike Piazza was like the number one Met for another. Gary Carter, another one, came from the Expos. Really high quality players who still contributed. They remember you forever when you do that. But Bonilla, not near worth the contract. So the thing why people bring it up is as awful as he was with the Mets, and he's still getting $1.25 million every year for like 25 years or whatever the deferment is. That's the thing that is wise in people's minds. Now Ohtani, you can make a case is certainly top 5 player in the league. I don't know if you guys consider like a Mike Trout or Judge or someone who might be better.
Many people consider him number 1.
Who's that?
If he was pitching, he'll be number 1.
Ohtani. Yeah. So at least you can, to an extent, you can almost say, well, he's getting his money's worth, especially with the new TV deals and all the stuff that baseball has got going on. So I could certainly see. At least getting value. Bonilla, you got very little value while he was on the team. And when people found out about the contract or what have you, it was like, oh, geez, So I think that was really that's why it's fresh, especially for the Mets fans who won and haven't won a championship. I mean, they've been to a couple of Mark Messier, again, legend in New York with the Rangers when they won the Stanley Cup. After like 40 years, he delivers the cup to him. So if you do that, you're like a New York immortal, regardless of how long you played there. But the thing with Bonilla is it just did not go well with the Mets. And so it's like Met fans are reminded every year about that, especially for every year they haven't won a championship. It's almost like salt in the wound. Guess what? You're still playing. Now, we just played our guy from the Yankees. We paid him like $500 million. So, let's see if he can deliver.
Oh, you're talking about Judge?
Yeah, no, not Judge. The Latino player.
No, Soto.
Soto, yeah. So we'll see if he can deliver for the Mets. But they're certainly in playoff contention. So we'll see how the summer goes on. But last topic of the night.
But real quick,
go ahead.
You just brought up the whole, if you have success in New York, your name will be immortalized. And that's really not just in New York. That's in your respective sport that they play with. And I know going back to how you feel about the Manning family, that's exactly what happened to Eli. He won those 2 Super Bowls. Now he's been immortalized. So you can.
Yeah, but Eli, I'm saying Eli's always been. What my point was, you have players who were very good for other teams, and then they come to New York and they don't perform as well. Yeah. So it's like you're under the bright lights here. Like you might have played in Kansas City and you were the man in Kansas City, and now you come to New York and it's like, oh man, it's New York. Oh, the press and it's like I said, the attention that you get out here and the media itself, because people can love you in Dallas, but you come to New York and those reporters, those New York Post and those guys will be ruthless. So a lot of guys didn't like playing under those conditions because again the expectations were so high. Whereas when they played for Colorado or something, it was like, oh well, they're just glad that I'm here. So that's the point I was making. I mean, Manning, he's been here from the beginning and whatnot, and yes, he certainly delivered those Super Bowls. But again, for the bulk of his career, he wasn't very good, and that's the thing. Because even that year they played the first Super Bowl, they played New England that year, and New England beat them. I think it was a home game, and it was like a high-scoring game, but New England still beat them. That's the year they were going for undefeated. And but they just went on that magic carpet ride run. They went to Green Bay, beat the Packers in Green Bay, and then they beat obviously like I said, New England. But again, very fortunate plays just went their way in that game, and he's a champion. So yeah, so I think everyone will respect Eli. I wouldn't put him on that immortal category out of all those New York sports figures like was mentioned, like Reggie or Piazza. And Piazza didn't even win a championship, but he produced at a very high level for a lot of years. And obviously there's a lot of Italian Americans in New York City, so obviously he was like, Piazza jersey was like everywhere. It's like if you wore a Mets jersey, it was always going to be a Piazza jersey if you were an Italian. So that was definitely a he was definitely of an icon out here for sure. But moving in, like I said, we're in Pickett, so we're going to keep the show relatively short tonight. Got one more topic to talk about, to discuss that certainly Shawnee, give credit to him for bringing up. So we got the All-Star voting for the WNBA. Caitlin Clark was rated or ranked the 9th best guard. Not player, but guard in the WNBA. Behind, you see the players there: Alicia Gray, Sabrina Schuyler, and Natasha Paige Buchers, Kelsey, and Brittany Skies, and have Brittany Skies' numbers compared to hers. Dick Vitale, he spoke out absolute pure jealousy that the WNBA players voted her the ninth best player. Someday they will realize what she has done for all of the players in the WNBA: chartered planes, increased salaries, sold out crowds, improved TV ratings. So he said, basically saying the hate is real. So what were your thoughts on the ranking, the voted by the players? Are you surprised at this voting?
Well,
So-
let me put it like this. So, when it comes to the WNBA, what we witnessing right now is the women who speak on the sport. They try so hard just to keep it about basketball, just everything just on the court. Basketball, they try to ignore all the potential storylines that may be involved in that particular player. It's just always about basketball. And then when the men talk about the WNBA, they are shining a light on the whole picture per se. In this case, in case of point, Caitlin Clark. And the men be the ones say, oh, there's some jealousy because they see how the players react to Clark compared to other, their other peers and the stuff they say about Clark and all that. So that's what I'm noticing. The men is usually kind of, I don't want to say the other way around, but the men are kind of looking at the surrounding, while the women are just trying to keep it strictly about basketball. So when I heard about this and about Vitale and his response about the jealousy, I'm like, okay. At first, at first glance, he's like, what? How is you have 8 players above Clark? And then I went to ESPN, I'm trying to look at the stats and compare, but I could not see Clark's, I could not find Clark's name. I'm like, did ESPN just leave Clark out their stat list? Like, who is, leading the league in scoring or assists? Because we know Clark can do both of those. But the reason why, and it makes sense that the women, her peers, voted her number 9, because they just basically talking about this season. But she voted number 9 because she didn't play that much games. I think she only played, remember, she lost a significant amount of time with an injury.
Right.
So I think she only played like 9 games so far this year. So they looking at it like, man, we can't rank her, because right now, as you can see, her points per game is 18, but it probably would have been higher if she would have played more. But we can't put her above all these other players per se, because right now with Vitale's response, it's really everything but on the court. He's adding all this stuff off the court and considering all this extra like it has anything to do with the actual performance of the player. So, that is why I believe that her peers voted her number 9, because you just didn't play that much this year. So we're looking at the players who played more games and showed more consistency right now. And, it is what it is right now.
Coach?
You muted, Coach.
You muted, sir.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Dick Vitale said it enough with going on with Caitlin. It's unfortunate that the women are not looking at the value she brings. And I would like to see who all voted. I know my sisters done probably put her down, but it's just unfortunate, man. It's just, in order for the WNBA to grow on a larger scale, they have to be inclusive, man. It's just unfortunate. It's just unfortunate. She's trying to be a woman in the game. And if the players push her out, it could be devastating effects for the league. So they better be careful. But she don't need the NBA. The NBA needs her.
Well, I don't think she has a choice, though.
Because-
I mean, she could try to play overseas or whatnot, but there's no money over there. I mean, all the main money that she's getting is in the States. So where is she going to play?
She don't have to play. She can go coach and make a lot of money. She can make a lot of money just being Caitlin Clark and what she's already done. She has major brand deals. She's
Yeah,
good.
as she plays. I mean, but even coaching, if they don't like her as a player, they're definitely not going to like her as a coach either.
Oh no, because you're talking about your periods as a player, Mr. Bennett. Coach, the team that you coach is going to be younger, eager. These are players that's been in the league showing jealousy, like Dick Vitale said. Why would she not be voted one of the top players, top 10 at least, a starter? Y'all vote her as a player. It's ninth best. Come on, man, really?
Well, like I say, I mentioned because she hasn't played that much games this year. So
it doesn't matter, but her impact on the floor, she's already proven. They got players getting into the All-Star game who ain't consistent like that, but she's proven over time. She's proven that she's one of the top 5-10 players in the league right now. What are we talking about? She's averaging 18 points a game, 5 assists, 8 assists, 9 assists. That's probably leading the league. 5 rebounds, steals. She's doing it all. So I'm just saying.
I just think a lot has to come from the top down, or they're not selling it well enough. I mean, when David Stern came into the league in the early '80s, he was because the NBA at the time, just to give him the state of the NBA, he's like, look, we're going to make the league full of stars. We're going to take Bird and Magic, and then when Jordan came on the scene, all these guys, we built a league full of stars. And I think that the model that the WNBA needs to take on is that of stars and of good looks and marketability. If everybody wants to eat, but if they want to just keep talking about the purity of the game, then they're going to stay right where they're at. And so I just think that the mindset of these players needs to change. But I can certainly understand that for a woman who's been been in league ball, and we already talked about some of the top players just period overall in the WNBA, and they didn't get any love really until she came in. In fact, there was even talk. Remember the last Olympics, they were talking about why she isn't on the Olympic team. And people were upset that she wasn't on there. So again, it's definitely a conundrum for the players. They definitely want to be credited as athletes, but again, the marketability aspect, you can't deny that as well. So I would definitely say it's definitely some of the haterade is definitely on, because you're not even saying she's the 9th best player in the league. You're saying the 9th best guard, and I just think that's something that. I just don't think how does doing that help your brand? But she's going to have to be that, just like it's almost like the other way around. Just as Jackie Robinson had to integrate baseball, Caitlin Clark has to try to integrate the WNBA somehow, because she
came back from injury and she led her team. The Fever just won the Commissioner Cup, and the thing about that is, they actually get a bigger payout for winning the Commissioner Cup in the regular season than when actually win the title. So that's kind of that don't make any sense, but yeah.
See, I mean, Anton, he's saying because she was a rookie. I don't think that was it. I just think that, again, she came in with so much buzz. And I think for a lot of those veteran players, I just think they didn't want her on the team. Because I know Stephen A. Smith, he was like, he was irate. It's like, wait a minute, you guys are on the cusp. You guys came off some of the best college ratings ever or whatnot. You talk about a global audience or whatever, and you talk about having her on the team, even if she didn't play a whole lot. She could have been like Christian Laettner on the Dream Team, but still just have her on just in terms of help you market the product. And they said no. So I don't think it was necessarily the fact that she was a rookie. I think the haterade and the jealousy, started then. It's like, no, we're not gonna have this off the rip. So, but look, it's been a couple years. It may take a few more years. Maybe when she's 5-6 seasons in, a lot of this stuff will die down. I mean, we got to understand this is her second year as a player. So I think you just got to give it time. before folks start start accepting it. But it's like everything that you hear about with the WNBA is something that she gets into a fight with a player or whatever, or especially every time she plays against what's the name from the sky, if they blow on one of each other, then it becomes news. So I think you just got to give this time. Attitudes have to change, and again, once they start seeing those residual checks come in, that the attitude may change later.
Well, the only thing about Clark, because Clark, she brings that other crowd, and it's literally that crowd that they don't pay no attention, but they follow Clark, and they basically no different than Trump supporters. How loyal they are to Trump. Clark has the same fan base with her. So,
well, let me ask you: is it a fan base or is it an anti WNBA base?
No,
like, is it like if it wasn't if what's that?
It's Clark's fan base. It's the same fan base that. Now, the one thing that I don't agree with people, because you see some people, because right now, basically, it's Caitlin Clark and her fan base versus Angel Reese and her fan base. That's basically what it is. That started in college when they played each other in the Final Four and whatnot. That whole thing started. Now, one thing that people try to say is like, Caitlin Clark would not be who she is today as far as popularity if it wasn't for Angel Reese, and that is false. I remember Caitlin Clark's name was growing in women's college basketball during that time. Her name was growing. It was like a locomotive coming out. You was hearing about Caitlin Clark before the March Madness, and then when she came into March Madness, she exploded on the big stage. That's when Caitlin Clark. That's when her name was, and then it just went even higher with the Angel Reese rivalry. But Caitlin Clark's name was already a locomotive before she even played against LSU. But that fan base, is basically, that fan base is the main reason why there's so much vitriol coming. Because it's not from Clark. You have not heard anything from Clark really speak negative on other players. Only thing Clark do is she's a basketball player. Basketball players are competitive. When they on the court, they mouth off. That's what they always do. But as far as a microphone, you don't hear Clark. You always see her being very careful with her words. But her fan base, though, the reason why the vitriol that people be aiming at Clark is mainly 100% due to that fan base. They basically take it out on Clark or celebrating her failures because they want to point it, poke at her fan base.
Right. But why do you think it's her though? Over because you got other. I mean, Paige Buchers. I mean, you have other. You've had other top flight white WNBA players. Sue Bird. You had all those players. Why do you think it was her though?
Because she came out of Iowa, that heartland.
Because she's a woman.
But
she's a feminine woman. But
UConn has been a women's basketball with Oriema. They've been a basketball powerhouse for like decades. And you mean none of those women out of there garnered the sort of support coming out of there than her? I'm just
Well, think about it. Who in the NBA changed the game currently? Who in the NBA changed the game currently? Like,
in the NBA, the men's league in the WNBA,
all over as far as NBA, college basketball, even to the kids. Who changed the game?
Outside of Steph Curry.
It is Steph. Yeah, it's Steph. Caitlin Clark's game
emulates Steph's game.
Exactly. Because you missed it. Caitlin Clark is not the best college women's basketball player that came out of college and whatnot. You mentioned Breanna Stewart, Asia Wilson. Those players are better.
Maya Moore was tough.
Maya Moore, she just sacrificed her career.
No, but I want to focus just on the white players because that's what we're talking about. You're saying she's bringing this fan base with her that is mostly white Trump supporters or MAGA supporters or whatever. So I'm just saying you've had other white players, but they haven't had this kind of garnish. So you're saying Or the point that you're trying to make is her game is different from those. She takes these long 3-pointers from 25 feet out that a lot of women aren't hitting and whatnot. So her game itself is more exciting to watch than, like, say, a Paige Buchers or any of these other players, Susan.
It's not just her game. It's her personality. It's her being a woman. She is not of those other. She's a woman, and it's hard for her to find a space in the WNBA because she's not like most other women in the WNBA. She lets her talk and do it on the court, and she's good at what she does. This is to me. You've had other players that have, but she doesn't fit that mold. And she's going to bring the women, not the ones that have lived alternative lifestyle. She's going to bring a whole different fan base to the game. But the players are the ones, now they was crying about their facilities some years ago. The players would be the one that ruined that because Caitlin Clark, she's that Laurel Ingalls American and hot dog looking woman. She's regular. You don't see her with not a lot of makeup. You don't see her.
But she's not like a sex symbol.
But that's good. But that's good for the WNBA. That's good.
No, I think it would be if she was a sex symbol, it would be good for the WNBA. Oh yes, it would. Yes, it would. If she was doing, if she could ball balled the way she did, and she did Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue, it would be
like
ridiculous.
Angel Reese and the rest of them, that would be bad. That would be bad.
I don't think so. Sean, what do you think on that one? I think me and Coach we diametrically disagree on this one.
Other players like, she has her teammate, Sophie Cunningham. She's like got model-esque looks. Cameron Brink, so there's like attractive white WNBA players who can be like models per se. But yeah, I think mainly because WNBA always had great ball players, but the main thing that people did not watch WNBA, because as far as a ball player, I don't think Caitlin Clark, because me being from Houston, Caitlin Clark don't compare to Cynthia Cooper, as far as a ball player. But the main thing that what men always kind of had against them, they play below the rim. It's not as exciting as they male counterparts. It's not like they saying like the women can't ball. I mean, I'm pretty sure you could put any one of them on the court. They will school both men and women as far as their game. Men always said they generally are more fundamentally better than their male counterparts because they have a complete game. They pay attention to the fundamentals. Right. But because the game is not as exciting as the men, that's why men we don't really pay no attention to y'all like that.
Yeah. But but I think the equalizer is, to your earlier point, it is the 3-point shooting because it doesn't matter who does it. I don't care if it's a 12-year-old kid hitting threes, a woman hitting threes, an NBA player hitting threes. You launching them from 20, 25 feet out and they're switching in. That's just gonna draw people in. It's that's why you can even have an all-star game where you can have a woman playing against a guy and it's relatively even. And people will watch it because again it's fairly fair. I mean, the only thing you want to change maybe have the basketballs the same size, but outside of that, it's a pretty even thing to watch. So I think she definitely bringing that 3-point game. I think the way she has. To it, I certainly think it's attracted a lot of people. I do think a lot of her fan base is an anti, current NBA product. I mean, the fact that black women mostly dominate the game is something that so I think draws a lot of people out, especially some of the people that you were talking about earlier. But again, she's a wholesome person, no question. I don't think she's a sex symbol per se, which I think would help. I mean, let's face it. I mean, it's I don't care if it was who was that tennis player who never won anything, but she was always yeah. It helps. It helps.
Then she'd be like Angel Reese talking about they sexualizing us. No, she's
Angel Reese sexualizes herself, so I don't know where that comes from. Even I mean,
Caitlin Clark,
she's wearing booty shorts at WNBA games and stuff. So
but-
I don't know what the
she don't need
sexual
to be a
is.
sex symbol. Caitlin Clark. Listen,
I'm saying it would help. You don't think it would help if she was like I said, model track, like in a bikini? You don't think that would help her?
It would help everybody who wants to see her in that, but she don't even walk like
But that's half the. But that's what is that?
But that's what I'm saying. Her whole image is a Midwestern, Iowa, corn fed. It's not.
But that's not a lot of people.
But
they do
for
like
her,
her.
it works. For her, it works. For her, it works, and I think it would be the NBA is going to utilize that. They're going to have some meetings over the summer, like, hey, if y'all want this bag, y'all better leave her alone. But Shawnee, you said something about men. It's not about how we view the women's game. It's about the women and her peers view her in the game. It's clearly showing that they're jealous of her style all the way around. She has the game to compete. You can see she's one of the top players in the game. She's playing the game. But then she's voted in the bottom tier of the leagues by the players. Though I can see it feeling, but it's the players. Come on, man, y'all.
And that goes back to what I mentioned. My first point of it. The men will point that out. Like I say, the men are looking at the total picture. But when you hear the women analysts talk about this,
they act like they don't know.
They try. It's like they. You can see them completely try to ignore that noise. And try to focus it just strictly on the court, and they would try to whatever you mentioned about potential other WNBA players jealous of Clark, whatever, they would say no, they would not acknowledge that, and they would act like it's just strictly on the court. Now in this particular case, I do believe that if this is just strictly for the 2025 summer season, that she was ranked that low because of her lack of games played. They probably say, okay, we're just not going to. I remember when Carmelo Anthony was named a starter for the All-Star game. He was hurt majority of the first half of the year. And I'm like, well, that don't make no sense to me. So I think that's the bail out of jail I would give some of the WNBA players if they say, okay, you just didn't play that much, so we can't just put you above other players right now because they actually have more work than you. That's the only bail out of jail I can see. Now, if it's not that, then it's damn sure some jealousy going on. That's the only thing I can imagine. Because I'm looking at it. Like I say, ESPN. They don't even have her on there because she didn't even qualify for the minimum games for her stats to count. So
yeah. All right, we're coming up on final thoughts for the show. Like I said, we're going to keep it relatively light tonight, just given the light sports schedule. But again, as news breaks, certainly in shows coming up over the summer, we certainly will keep you guys posted. We'll be following certainly the Michael Parsons situation, T.J. Watt situation in the NFL, and certainly any news that breaks between now and then. But as we do come to the final thoughts, just want to get mine off the rip. So again, Jake Paul had another fight card over the weekend. Now, I will give him credit for this. I will not watch or buy a Jake Paul fight card. I'm a hardcore old school boxing fan, and I think he brought out a retired Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. who barely threw a punch in the fight. Looks like the fight was fixed. But I will give him credit though in that the card itself was pretty good. Now you got this guy Floyd Schofield, who's looking like he's going to be a rising star between like the 135 and 147 pound division. Look out for this guy. The fight cards that they put on overall are pretty good. But the main event, which is him usually, you could basically turn off. Last time he fought Mike Tyson, and now he fought, Chavez Jr. coming out of retirement. Again, not really worth the money for that. Or if you want to buy the card for everything else and then skip the main event, you're better off doing that. So I'll give him credit that at least the fight card itself doesn't seem to be compromised by the finished product. But again, boxing needs to do better. I can't wait until in July. You're gonna have Tank Davis. He returns to the ring. Looking forward to him getting back into it and see if he can avenge his draw against against his last opponent. And then obviously, like you said, you got obviously Canelo and Crawford in September. As we get closer to that, we'll start chopping it up on that and predictions and all those things going forward. So boxing in a mixed bag, and some decent fights that are coming up. But again, you even have Manny Pacquiao coming out of retirement. Guy's 46 years old, and he's getting a title shot. I'm saying, look, legend or not, it just, the fact that he's able to jump the line, it's just not fair to the sport. So again, boxing too often gets in its own way. Yeah, you'll get some good matchups, some good fights. You see some rising stars, like I said with Schofield. Look out for him coming up. You have some decent fights that are coming up over the summer, but then you got a lot of nonsense going on at the same time. Guys who have no business fighting, getting title shots and getting back in the ring, and you have these fixed stage fights that the Paul brothers are putting on. And I just think that fans deserve better. But as I said, shout out to the undercard, shout out to those guys who put on a decent fight card. And so that's my final thought. But Dante, glad you were able to get on to the last of the show. I will defer to you just to give your 2 cents. We did talk about your guy Ayton joining the Lakers, and so if you want to give your 2-cent commentary on that, I think if you ready to talk, or you good?
Yeah, basically, I'm sorry, I'm not in my normal
That's fine.
studio setup. So, but my main thing is LeBron without his posturing, like you don't really have any power anymore like that. And it's tough. You would if you didn't have Luka there. So like the posturing game that he's trying to play and the cryptic stuff, you just saw what KD got traded for. So not that it can't happen, but the aprons make it tough for him to get moved. So I feel like, he basically set his life up in LA. Go ahead and ride it out. Like I will say it is sad as far as Laker fandom that I don't want to put it like he's just a scrub, but Ayton is not. He's underperforming. He's a bust as a number 1 overall pick. Just as far as what that pick meant from look on his roster now and look at what LeBron is, look at what other number 1 picks are, even the guy from Detroit, leading your team to the playoffs, being a transcendent guy that can try to break through. But, it's cool to have him, but it's just one of those things that Rob Pelinka, in my opinion, with the new ownership, he is basically going for his job. Because I'm sorry, if I'm evaluating you, I'm looking at the mistakes you made before I owned the team, the stuff in the margins that you missed. Second round picks don't mean the most to me, but you traded 3 of them and then you let the guy walk away. So it's a lot going on with the Lakers. The West is getting more competitive, but if LeBron does want to get traded, he might want to go east. But it's just, I would say this: the aprons are trying to bring balance. But we've lost some of the juiciness of, hey, look at NBA free agency. It's kind of like we're looking at mid-level guy deals, and it's like that's all we get. Like the Dame getting stretched and waived was the biggest story, and then Miles Turner leaving the team that made the finals to go somewhere else because the other team was too cheap because of the apron, and that's a problem for me. That you got to we talk about small markets, and Black Man is just banging the drum. We get a 7-game series. And then that team that loses the finals loses a star with a bad injury, and then they don't pony up the money to pay their starting center. That's been with your team for nearly a decade. So it's just that I want to say that's a small thing, but it's a bad look for that ownership group, and the league needs to adjust that for their next CBA. But
I got you, Shawnee.
I don't really have too much of a final thought per se. I pretty much got majority of my points out during the show, so I'll just pass it on up to Coach.
There you go. Coach, close us out.
Hey, man, listen, man, y'all know it's the summertime, right? I hope y'all getting your fluids, man. Listen, get your fluids, get outside, take the kids outside if you can, get some vitamin D. Yeah, it's hot, but still, find a merry-go-round, put all your kids on the merry-go-round, tell them hold on, and you push it. And whoever fall off, I mean, you got to work with them a little bit more. But they'll get it. It ain't going to hurt them. Too bad. But no, man, great show, man. Salute, man. Too bad we get to talk about the Fakers too much, man. I wish you come over, you know what I'm saying? Take care of yourself, Dante, man. But sure, man, we ain't talk about Dallas too much today. Woo, we almost went down the Dallas hole, you know what I'm saying? But no, man, listen, hey, they getting in shape. Let us get in shape, man. Do a little something, man. Get outside. Enjoy your family, man. The holiday this weekend, man. Go put something on the grill. Something, man. Just don't light no stupid fireworks in your mouth.
Never.
Bust some teeth open.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. Well, again, thanks you guys for once again joining the show. Thanks, shout out to my guy Anton. Always supports the channel and whatnot, and always appreciate you guys being here. Again, we still gonna be in purgatory for a minute, so any sports topic is on the table. So again, come with your ideas on topics we can talk about, and you know, so we'll look to chop them up here. And until things start rolling again with the NFL, or we see, you know, more breaking news certainly in the WNBA. We'll be tracking those things, and the fact that Shawnee points out that now Jake Paul's now ranked, you can't make this up. But in any event, for myself, Mr. Bennett, we got Dante, we got our brother Shawnee, and we got the coach in the building as always. This is the One-on-One Sports Show on the Black Men Unfiltered Network. You guys enjoy your holiday weekend. Take care. God bless, and we'll see you next time. Good night.